It is time to take a look at the April TBR for 2023. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the April TBR for 2023. Before we jump into the books I'm going to be reading this month, or at least attempting to read this month, make sure you check in the description box down below for links to my Discord and social media should you want to come along for the ride. Now, I am going to start this list off with a carryover because I assume I'm not going to finish this one in the month of March, and that will be Shadowfane by Jenny Wirtz, the final book in the Cycle of Fire. This one has 351 pages. I should finish. It's currently the 23rd at the time of filming, 23rd of March. I should finish a book today. I've got an alpha read for 5 chapters of a book happening at some point today or tomorrow. I then need to read a review copy, and I think I will start this one in the last day or two of March, but I don't think I will have it completed in March 2023. So I'm going to assume that this one will be first off the bat, and it will be a carryover that I will be reading in the first couple of days in April. So that's Shadowfane by Jenny Wirtz to close off the Cycle of Fire. In terms of the other books, I am using a priority system again, so I've got the books that I definitely want to read, which are in the green, and then I have books that, if I have time, are my next priority to get to. Now, I have stabbed myself in the foot this month with a couple of huge books on the want to read, have to read radar. I've got 2 at least 800-page books in here to read physically, and then I also have quite a large book to read on audio. We'll see how we go. I have 8 books in the definitely want to read pile this month. We'll give it a red hot crack. The first one of those is Dragonlance, book number 3, which is Dragons of Spring Dawning. This is the last book within the buddy read that I'm doing with Roger from Rogers Reads and Usman from Bards and Books. This copy is so beat up. I've switched to the audio because the first book was a little bit slow for me. I didn't quite vibe with it, and then I switched to audio for book 2, and that has worked much better. So I will be doing book 3 on audio, which will, free up some physical reading time, which is great. I'm very interested to see how this original trilogy ends, and yeah, I have a good time with the audio. It's a bit zany, it's a bit wild, it's a D&D campaign. What can you expect? But I'm having a pretty good time, and I'll be finishing that one off in the month of April. Next up, we have The Iron Truth by L.L. McRae. I love the world of Lunaria. It's no secret, I talk about it all the time, but the Shadowgate Book 2 in the Dragon Spirit series is about to be released towards the end of April, I believe it is, and I just want to know what the hype is about. This book is so well loved in the indie community, and it's the book that put L.L. McRae on my radar, but I still haven't read it. So I have the audio for this little Dragon Spirit bookmark that came with it, and it's a signed edition. I brought it with me. I did not put it in the shipping container to go to Perth because I wanted to read it this year before I moved, so that will be happening in the month of April as well. It says Fenn's first and only memory is finding himself in the middle of a forest, face to face with a dragon spirit mocking him, all knowledge gone apart from his own name. And that's how we start. So, I've heard good things. I'm not in trouble if you can hear that siren. I just live on a main road. That is on the radar for April 2023. Moving on from there, we have the first chonker. How many pages is this dang thing? Too many pages for about 930 pages. Deadhouse Gates by Steven Erikson. I read Gardens of the Moon in March. I loved it. I loved it so much more than I was anticipating. Such a good read that decided to pick up book 2. And apparently shaft Wheel of Time, like I was doing. I was meant to be up to book 4 of Wheel of Time, and I have not read the 3rd book. Instead, I'll be picking up Deadhouse Gates by Steven Erikson. This is fairly floppy for how big this is, so, I'm not mad. It reads, to me, the first book read rather quickly for how dense and how chonky it was, so I'm interested to see if this will be similar in that, even though it's quite a big book, blitz through it, or if I'll need to take my time with it a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm going to start that one pretty much at the beginning of the month and just let myself read it throughout the month when I want to pick it up. I did that with Gardens of the Moon and ended up reading it in 5 days, and for that book I feel like that was fairly fast. At least it was fast for me. Don't judge me, all you fast readers out there. Moving on from there, I will also be picking up Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzow. It's one of my favourite books of all time, and one of the books I really do want to reread. I know Nicholas Lietzow is working on book 2 at the moment, and it's one of those books and one of those worlds that I crave. Like, I crave being back with Jesper going through this story, and it was a fairly dark tale. I'm not going to give too much away. I want you all to read it, so go and read it. I'm going to be reading it this month. If you want to join me, then let me know, and I'm happy to chat to you over on Instagram or here, wherever. Talk to me about it. But I'll be reading Dreams of the Dying in April this year. I then may have a beta/alpha read for a friend of mine. I'm not going to tell you who. I almost pointed to their books on my shelf. Just, that's your only hint. I have some of their books on my shelf at the moment, so you can zoom in and try and figure that out. But that is on the radar. I think it's about 86 to 90,000 words, and I've committed to reading that in the month of April, but I cannot tell you the title or who it is until we're ready to go and there are reveals happening. Moving on from there, I would also like to read The Forbidden Realms by H.C. Newell, follow up to Curse of the Fallen, which I read in January. Now, I was meant to read The Forbidden Realms in February, and I haven't done that yet. So I would like to get to that in this month so that I can finally have H.C. Newell on the channel in an author interview capacity. Next up on the must be read is an ARC. It is coming out early May. I'm so excited for this. It is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and that is Seeds of War by João F. Silva. This one says, he ran like the monster he was, and the smoke followed. This is the Smokesmith's Book 1. Gimlor, a single mother and war veteran turned crime boss, set on protecting her family and her town. Aberasis, he is a petty thief pretending to be a god to protect a terrible secret. And Rednow, the world's most feared mercenary, but his best days are behind him, and there's one job left to do. In a world of dangerous monsters and devastating smoke magic, the seeds of war are being planted. Allies must be treasured and enemies defeated. I remember really liking this in the beta. I was excited about this new voice, and I can't wait to read the ARC. I'm excited. Can you tell? The last one on the to-read list. The last one on the to-read list is effed up erotica, I'm guessing, that I've been roped into by Roger. And I agreed to this when we did a World Hoppers video earlier this year, to start reading really odd erotica books. And this one is called Squeak. It's by Vera Valentine, and it has to do with balloon animals. I don't know how to feel. I can't remember who got who to read The Haunted Vagina, but this seems like it's in a similar vein. I said I'd read it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I didn't have to pay for it. We'll see what happens. Luckily, it's very short, because I'm just doing these in one sitting. I cannot spread this out over more than one day. Spread this out. Poor choice of words. Let's move on with our lives. If I have an insane reading month and I get through all of that, we have a couple of wildcards that I wouldn't mind chucking on my radar. One is Unanimity by Alexandra Almeida. I hope I pronounced that. Sorry, Alexandra, if you watch this. This was kindly sent to me by the author, and I got a little note in there that says, "Hi Kris, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for taking the time." And this is a local author, lives in Sydney, and it is a queer normative sci fantasy that sounds really intriguing. I recently shouted this one out on the Queer Corner as one that I do want to get to within the next quarter, so I can talk about it over there. And yes, if I have time, I'll be putting this one on my radar. The next one is, of course, Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. This was on my lower priority list for March. It's now moved up a priority list for April, and then if I don't get to it this month, it will definitely be happening in June. So I've already gone through that one. I won't spend too much more time speaking about it, but that one has moved up the list, as has Isa by L.L. McRae, book 4 in the World of Lunaria series. That one dropped a little bit this month in terms of priority because I am going to be reading The Iron Crown, and I might split them up, so I might do Isa next month. Next up on the list is Bones to the Wind by Tatiana Obey. This is one that is going to move up the priority list as we go along. It is another queer-friendly book. The covers are gorgeous. I love this author's energy and I can't wait to dive into this world. This is a book that will definitely be happening in 2023. I just don't know whether it will be happening in April, but it is on the list to pull from if I do end up finishing all the must-be-reads. Next up, I've got Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is whatever the next one was of the Cytonic series, and that I really enjoyed, and I will be doing that on audio again because I loved the audio for the first one, and I want to see where that story goes. So if I have any more audio time, I'll be picking up Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. The last one on this list is the Shattered Arc by M.S. Woodscourt, but I think that's an arc and I don't have a copy of it. So that's the lowest priority because I don't have a copy of it. But it is a YA epic fantasy, and I have been following M.S. Woodscourt for a while, and I'm very interested in her historical fantasy. And I've got the first book in Perth to read at some point as a indie buddy read if people want to come along for it, 5-book series. But this one is releasing, I think, in May. So I'm interested in it, and if I get a copy of it, I will be reading it in April, and if I don't, I'll wait till May. We'll see how we go. Those are all the books on my radar for the month of April. What are you looking forward to? What is your top pick for April? What are you picking up? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.